All right, so welcome to the deep dive, and today we're tackling a really fascinating topic.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's about kicking those sugar cravings,
Okay.
but in a very, very radical way.
Uh-huh.
It involves cutting carbs completely,
Oh, wow.
like
So
going cold turkey.
like a hard stop.
Yeah, and it kind of goes against everything
Yeah.
we normally hear about with gradual reduction and stuff like that.
It does. It does.
So we're actually diving into a conversation
Okay.
between two health experts
All right.
who are all in on this abrupt carb restriction.
Interesting.
And they claim that it unlocks all these crazy health benefits.
Do
But, I got to say, I'm a little skeptical.
Well, skepticism is always a good thing.
It is.
Questioning things is important.
Absolutely.
But what I find interesting about this is how these experts frame the problem.
Okay.
They're essentially saying that most of us are completely hooked on glucose. Like, it's our primary energy source. And that's kind of
Right.
leading us down a path of all these
Yeah,
health issues.
I can see that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Everyone's felt that, that
It's-
energy crash.
Right.
After you have, a sugary snack or a sugary drink.
Absolutely. You get that, quick burst of energy, and then you
Yeah, and then you crash.
totally crash.
It's like clockwork.
Yeah, it is.
That'd be my...
And that's exactly what
Yeah.
what they're trying to address is breaking that cycle
Yeah.
of dependence.
Got it.
So their idea is that if
Yeah.
you cut carbs completely,
That's right.
you're essentially forcing your body
Right.
to find a new way to fuel itself.
So instead of relying on glucose,
Mm-hmm.
then your body starts burning what, fat?
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this from high school biology.
Yeah. It's called lipolysis.
Lipolysis, there it is.
Yeah. Basically, your body starts breaking down those stored fats for energy.
Okay.
And this is where things get pretty interesting.
Okay.
When you burn fat,
Uh-huh.
your body produces these molecules called ketones.
Ketones. Okay, now you're just using big words to try and... I'm just kidding.
I know.
But seriously, break that down for me.
Okay, so think of your cells
Okay.
as tiny little power plants.
Got it.
They need fuel, right?
They need fuel.
And usually they're running on glucose.
Right.
But when you restrict carbs, you're basically forcing them
Okay.
to switch over
Yeah.
to a different fuel source, those ketones.
Okay.
And some research suggests this switch can have some pretty remarkable effects.
All right, so there's an actual biological shift
Yeah.
that's happening.
Absolutely.
But these experts, they went so far as to compare
Yeah.
sugar addiction to cocaine addiction.
Right.
I mean, isn't that a little dramatic?
It might sound a bit extreme,
Yeah.
but they actually make a pretty good point. They argue that both sugar and cocaine
Uh-huh.
trigger the reward centers in our brains,
Oh, okay.
leading to those cravings and
Right.
wanting more.
But so it's like any addiction. It's
Yeah.
breaking free requires,
Agree.
a huge change in habits and mindset.
100%. Yeah.
I see their point,
Yeah.
but I'm still not sold.
Okay.
How does this actually work in practice?
So they developed this 21-day challenge
Okay.
to kind of guide people through this.
Okay.
Apparently, thousands of people have tried it.
Yeah.
The first few days are all about
Yeah.
depleting your body's glycogen stores.
Okay, so running on fumes, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Doesn't sound fun.
It can be tough.
Yeah.
They actually mentioned that
Yeah.
their challenge videos on YouTube initially had tons of views,
There's-
50,000.
Wow, so a lot of people
Yeah.
were interested.
Yeah, but by day 5, it dropped to just 5,000.
Wow, so most people were bailing in those first few days.
It seems like it's,
What happens during that time?
well, your body's basically freaking out a little bit.
Okay.
It's so used to running on glucose,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden that fuel source is gone.
Right.
So you might experience fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
headaches, even brain fog.
Oh, no.
It's like your body's going through this
Yeah.
major detox.
Okay, so if you can push through
Yeah.
those first few days,
Right.
then what happens?
That's when things get really interesting.
Okay.
By days 6 and 7, your body starts to adapt.
Right.
It figures out how to use fat for fuel
Okay.
efficiently.
Gotcha.
And that's where those little power plants,
Uh-huh.
those mitochondria, they come into play.
Get fired up.
They get supercharged, ready to burn fat and
Yeah.
produce ketones.
So it's like flipping a switch,
It is. It's
a metabolic switch.
exactly. And this is the turning point.
Okay.
It's not easy,
Right.
but if you can get through those first few days,
Uh-huh.
your body starts to adapt.
Okay, but if you're cutting carbs,
Yeah.
doesn't that mean you're also cutting out
That's a great question.
Like fruits and vegetables.
It is, and it leads us perfectly
I
into
bet.
the role of fat in all this.
Okay, all right, so let's talk about fat then.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's talk fat then.
Okay, so the experts we're talking about today are very, very clear that to make this method work, you have to replace those carb calories with the right kinds of fats.
I've tried those like super low-fat diets before, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I was like constantly hungry and unsatisfied.
Oh, I can imagine.
And I was pretty much dreaming about breadsticks.
Yeah, I hear you, and they actually address this.
Right.
They call out those popular diets like paleo and
Oh, yeah.
Mediterranean, which often restrict carbs, A&D fat,
Yeah.
and they argue that that approach is totally unsustainable
Yeah, it makes sense.
and just not effective in the long run.
Okay, so then what kind of fats are we talking about?
So avocados are definitely on the list.
Okay, good, because I love avocados.
Yeah.
I was picturing a giant plate of avocados.
Yeah, but think bigger, think broader nuts, olive oil, fatty fish,
Okay.
things like salmon,
Okay.
coconut oil, grass-fed butter.
Okay.
These are all the things that'll keep you feeling full and satisfied
Right.
and give your body that energy it needs to thrive.
So it's about making a conscious effort to include these fats
Yes.
in every meal.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, but how practical is this in the real world?
That's a really good question.
Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Most of us don't live in a bubble
no.
where we can like control every single thing we eat.
Right, and they acknowledge this, and they talk about how social situations
Okay.
can be really tricky,
Yeah.
and they really stress planning ahead
Okay.
and communicating your needs.
Okay, so like if I'm going to a dinner party,
Exactly.
instead of showing up empty-handed, I
Yeah.
bring a delicious keto dessert.
Yeah, something everyone can enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're not feeling deprived and you're still part of the social thing.
100%.
Yeah. It's all about finding ways to make this work for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not the other way around.
So finding that sweet spot between
Yeah.
being strict,
Yes.
but also enjoying life.
Yeah. And they emphasize that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And over a time, as your body adjusts, you might find those cravings start to
Yeah.
lessen.
Okay, but what about like those moments when,
Yeah.
I don't know, you're having a super stressful day
Yeah.
and all you can think about is a big bowl of ice cream?
Totally.
What do you do then?
So they actually have this tip, which is
Okay.
might be a little unconventional,
Okay.
but they say to fight cravings
Yeah.
with fat.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I know it sounds
So,
crazy.
so instead of going for the ice cream,
Yeah.
you should grab like a handful of olives.
It might sound weird, but it's actually pretty logical.
Okay.
Remember, your body is craving that quick hit of energy
Okay.
that sugar provides.
Yeah.
By flooding your system with
Yeah.
fat.
You're telling your brain, hey, here's something that can satisfy you.
Oh, so it's like retraining your brain
It is.
to associate comfort with fat
Exactly. Yeah.
instead of sugar.
Yes, it's disrupting those old patterns and
Okay.
creating newer and healthier ones.
Okay, so how about those long-term benefits?
Yeah.
They claim some pretty remarkable stuff.
Yeah, they did.
Like slower aging,
Uh-huh.
protection against chronic diseases.
Yeah, yeah. So there's actually a lot of research out there that suggests that reducing sugar intake
Yeah.
can have a big impact on overall health.
Okay.
Studies have shown that it leads to
Ah.
improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation,
Okay.
and even a lower risk of certain cancers.
So it's not just about fitting into your skinny jeans.
No.
It's also about protecting your body.
100%. It's about protecting your body from the inside out.
Exactly.
And this is where the idea of metabolic flexibility comes in.
Metabolic flexibility, is that like being able to do the splits, but with your
I like that.
metabolism?
It's a fun way to think about it.
Okay.
It's essentially the ability of your body to switch
Okay.
between different fuel sources.
Okay.
So from glucose to fat,
Okay.
depending on what's available.
Got it. So the more metabolically flexible you are,
Yeah.
the better your body is
Right.
at adapting to
Right.
different situations.
Yeah, and this is why these experts believe that abrupt carb restriction
Okay.
can be so beneficial
Right.
by forcing your body to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
You're essentially training it
Okay.
to become more metabolically flexible.
So it's like boot camp for your metabolism.
I love that analogy, yeah.
Yeah. You're pushing it out of its comfort zone
Yes, you are.
and teaching it to thrive on something different.
And that, in turn, can lead to those long-term benefits. More energy, better mood, even reduced risk of chronic diseases.
This is all fascinating stuff.
It is.
But are there any downsides?
That's a great question, and I think it's time we address that.
Okay. So we've covered like the science behind all of this,
Yeah.
the potential benefits, even some practical tips.
Huh.
But there's like one big piece
Yeah.
of the puzzle missing,
Okay.
which is like the whole psychological side of sugar addiction.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about, like, what we eat.
Right.
It's also about our relationship with food.
It is. It is.
And, like, why we crave it.
Totally.
And these experts actually spend a lot of time talking about this.
They do.
They argue that for a lot of people, sugar is not just a source of physical energy.
Right.
It's like an emotional crutch.
It is. It's like that quick fix.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, when you're feeling down or stressed,
Yeah, totally.
just reach for that.
Like when I'm stressed or feeling down,
Yeah.
I'll grab a bag of cookies or something.
Or and you feel better for a minute, but
Yeah, but it never really
it doesn't last.
solves the problem.
No, it doesn't.
And that's what makes sugar addiction so hard.
It is.
It's not just physical.
Right.
It's also like tied to those deep emotional patterns.
It's those patterns we've developed over time.
Right.
We learn to associate sugar with comfort, reward, even escape.
So we're like self-medicating with donuts.
Kind of, yeah.
Wow. So if we're trying to like break free from sugar,
Right.
we can't just focus on the physical.
Oh.
We also have to address those underlying emotional things.
You got it.
But how do you do that?
They actually have a few suggestions.
Okay.
First, they say it's about becoming more aware of our triggers.
Okay.
Like, when are you most likely to reach for a sugary treat?
Okay.
Are you stressed, lonely, bored?
Right.
Once you identify those patterns,
Yeah.
you can start to develop some healthier coping.
Okay. So instead of like reaching for a candy bar when I'm feeling overwhelmed, maybe I should go for a walk.
Exactly.
Or call a friend.
Yeah. Or do something creative.
Find another outlet.
Yes. Find something that nourishes you.
Okay, that makes sense.
On an emotional level.
But it's not always easy.
It's not. It's not.
To resist, especially in the moment.
I agree.
Like if I'm at a party and there's cake, cookies, and all that stuff.
It's tough.
It takes a lot of willpower to say no.
It does, but they emphasize the power of visualization.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what you're denying yourself, focus on the benefits you're gaining.
Okay, so instead of thinking, man, I can't have that delicious chocolate cake, I should be thinking, I'm choosing to nourish my body.
Yes.
And feel amazing.
It's like a mental trick to shift your mindset.
Right.
You're not depriving yourself. You're making a choice.
You're making a conscious choice
that aligns with your goals.
It's about taking control rather than letting cravings control you.
100%.
Love that.
And over time, as you practice this, it gets easier.
Okay.
Those cravings lose their power.
Yeah.
And you start to really trust your ability to make those healthy choices.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
We've explored so many aspects of sugar addiction.
We really have.
And it's clearly a complex issue.
It is.
There's no like one-size-fits-all solution.
Yep.
But what I'm taking away from all this is it's not about perfection. It's about progress.
I agree.
It's about those gradual changes that support both our physical and emotional well-being.
It's about being kind to ourselves.
So true. It's a journey,
it is.
not a destination.
It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Exactly. And as with any journey, there's going to be bumps along the way.
There will be.
But with the right tools and mindset, we can all break free.
I believe that.
From this sugar addiction.
I do too.
And create a healthier, happier relationship.
And more empowered.
With food.
Yeah.
This has been such a great conversation.
It has been. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to be thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe I'll even try that 21-day challenge.
I think you should.
Yeah. All right, well, that's a wrap on this deep dive.
It is.
We'll catch you next time.
See you later.
For another insightful exploration. Until then, stay curious.
Stay curious.